What's up and welcome to Idle Insights, a show where each week I, Treavor Bettis, talk to interesting people about idle champions and Dungeons and Dragons. And with me this week is the amazing Erin M Evans.
Hi, thanks for having me again.
Well, yeah, that's true. This is again for you on this show. The first time that you and I have talked on this show, though.
That's true. That's true. I've done this before. I've talked to you about things before, but this is the first time that you and I have talked about things on Idle Insights.
Yes. The first
momentous occasion.
It is, yes.
Bring champagne for it.
I didn't, because we're pre-recording this and it may or may not be a little too early for that for me. Well, I guess if you put orange juice in it, it'd be fine.
At that point, it's breakfast.
It's brunch then, right? It's brunch then. Yeah, no.
With my tea.
With the first interview that you and I did was on my podcast difficulty class. That was a while ago too.
Yeah.
But we're here today to talk about Idle Champions presents The Black Pits and Havilar's glorious return to Idle Champions.
Yes.
I thought what might be a fun thing to do, in case people are coming into Idle Champions Presents for the first time here. Who is Havilar? What's a quick little backstory for her that people need to know about?
So Havilar is a character from, I have one of these right back.
Oh my, you just you have a bag of holding off to the side.
I wrote a series of novels for Forgotten Realms called the Brimstone Angel Saga, which begins with the book Brimstone Angel. Havilar is one of the main characters. She is the twin sister of the main character, Farida, who's also in Idle Champions, where Farida is a warlock who is a little bit neurotic and worries about bad things happening. Havilar is a fighter who likes to just get things done. So she is really good at hitting things with a glaive, and she's not the smartest, but she's very enthusiastic. So she's fun to play because she's a little bit silly without necessarily being intentionally silly. And yeah, so she also gets sort of entangled in the Nine Hells politics, but she's a lot more like, that's over there. This doesn't really affect me too much.
That's fair. And this is not Havilar's first time on Idle Champions Presents. I will say, if you want a full in-depth recap of Havilar's adventures in Idle Champions Presents, I highly recommend the Champions Lore episodes where Erin gives a recap of those. But what
doing those.
They're so much fun.
So I in the voice of Havilar, because after the first one, because she was in the first round of Idle Champions, the Unfair Seas and A Fool's Errand.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was in the second round, which is the Trials of Mount Tiamat in the first group. And then actually she was kind of the goal in the third one in Court of the Raven Queen, because she gets kidnapped by the Raven Queen and everybody has to go save her. And so the first time we did it, B-Day, we started up Champions of Lore, we were going to do a recap, and he was like, I miss Havilar. I'm going to miss Havilar. But, I won't get to see her again, so I want to hear Havilar tell what happened. So I just did the voice and I went through all this stuff. I forgot a lot of stuff. I've done better in the later ones and rewatch and take some notes. And so Havilar's reading her term paper, basically. But they're a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, that's also where we got the most beautiful joke of alabaster booty clap.
That's where your alabaster booty clap comes from, because that's sort of peak Havilar. She remembers stuff, but she doesn't necessarily get it all right, but she gets it with confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy Bailoff killed it. Definitely alabaster booty clap or arbalest blinky cloak or something.
I do love how quickly you can just slip into the Havilar voice. It's so good. And so yeah, this is the third time that you will be playing Havilar in one of these, and we had a conversation a long time ago about the difference between playing a D&D character and writing a D&D character. And now you've kind of got a good area of data on this. What do you find that you love about playing Havilar that you can't do in writing, and vice versa?
I think one of the main things is Havilar as a character I play in an actual play show is a lot simpler. Havilar in the books is still kind of a comic relief at times, but she's actually got a lot of really complex traumatic past that she has to unpack, and she has this really tangled romantic subplot because she falls in love with a secret prince of Cormier, and that's not really his family's not keen on that. And just like big fantasy soap opera drama. While yeah, she's also kind of a goofball who thinks that you have to, if you fight a hydra and chop its heads off, you have to burn the heads or they'll sprout more hydras, because she's pretty sure she heard that somewhere.
I love that.
You know, she's the one that's quick with the one-liner, but you know, there's a lot more complexity and nuance when you're playing an actual play game. Basically, you have, or any D&D game really, right? There, let's say there's 5 of you at the table. All 5 of you are the main character of your story, so there's not really, it's not really appropriate to sort of take up the space where you kind of unpack like tons and tons and tons. It's like pick a thread, pick a little bit of a thing, and do that. And for a thing where you sort of drop in with a bunch of characters you don't know, it's helpful to have a character that can identify themselves quickly and clearly based on things that they will do absent any kind of setup. Like, you don't have, Havilar can make these funny mistakes or jump in and attack something, and I don't need to establish who she is beyond that. Like, that action tells you a lot. Whereas like with a book, you have more space, and also you have to do a lot of the setup because you have to sort of like do the scene building and you have to do the like, you know, theme establishment stuff. And so those are sort of two different things because the media are so different.
One of the things when I was thinking about that question was, is it weird at all because when you're writing a book, like you're in the head of everyone that is on the page, like you know what the character is going to say to who and how they're going to respond and everything like that. Has it been interesting having a character that you know so well from writing having to respond to things that you didn't come up with?
I think, honestly, it is just the case that you have to be in a different mindset, which is a D&D thing I learned a long time ago. Yeah. That, like, the first time I tried to DM, I did it for my family, and I realized that what I was trying to do was to take them through a book. And it gets very like, no, you need to do this. No, you can't do that, because otherwise this thing falls apart. And for a long time, I just said, oh, I'm real bad at DMing. The more I played, the more I realized that it is a sense of like knowing this character as well as I do. I can throw her in a situation that isn't one I devised, and I understand how she'd react, right? Like, I put Havilar through enough paces that whatever Baloth does, I think she has a response. So because I know her so well, right? Yeah. Which is better, which is different than like, you know, there have been times where I've done really fun one-shots, for example. Like, you and I did that one-shot together. What was the name of that game?
The one that I ran?
No, the one with Richard.
The Dark Souls one.
The Dark Souls one. Right? Yeah. And I wasn't thrilled with the character I made because I just didn't quite know how to fill. I had thought of a thing, and then when I got into it, I was like, this is not set up for the things we're doing because I didn't know it well enough. Right? Yeah. And so I wasn't thrilled with my skills. Fortunately, you guys were amazing and hilarious. And I just had to be the straight man for a little bit. And that was okay. I shot things with an arrow. It's cool. That's
only because Richard said to play my goofy character that I make in the game every time. So
I think it was a good choice. That and like Yang's like serial killer. That just made more space for you guys. So that was all good.
Yeah, it was fun.
So that's a nice thing about picking up characters that are from the book. But yeah, I think if I had advice for someone, it's let go of the sort of canon. Like some people will ask me, oh, is this a continuation of the Brimstone Angels? So is this like the Brimstone Angels sequel? And I'm like, well, it's not. It's kind of like weird AU fanfic, but it's fun, right? Yeah. Like there's parts of the girls in the game and Mehen, their fathers in the game too, where, you know, it references things that happen in the books that happen like through to the end of the sequel, or the end of the series, and then sort of like things that are implied to take place after. But there's characters involved in that aren't in this game. Yeah. And then there's stuff like their age is listed as 19, and if you've read the books, when they were 19, they were trapped in semi-stasis in the Nine Hells. So this is sort of like if that didn't happen, But parts of the adversary did happen, and also parts of Fire in the Blood and Ash to the Tyrant, but not all of it. But they all know what happened.
I feel like I need to change my background
okay.
to like a red web thing where I'm like, okay, so their plot line went here, and now they're over here. And,
And at the end of the day, it is sort of like, what if Havilar and Frida and Mahen joined this like crazy venturing company with all these other people? And it's not canonical. Like, I don't need to go, oh no, well, now you're invalidating what happens, right? And, you know, I have joked in those recaps that like Havilar and Mince go out drinking and get in trouble. And I don't ever have to go, well, what does her boyfriend think about this?
Yeah.
He's not in this. Because he's not in this game. We're long distance. So it's like, it's fine. It's a weird like kind of space to sit in. But because I don't worry about that, like whether this affects some plot, it's fine. But I think that's a lot of the game too. It exists in this kind of interesting state where you can have like Minsk and Jarlaxle and Brunor snarking at each other. And that's okay, you know. You can turn Jarlaxle into a kobold, and Bob Salvatore is not like, excuse me, you've ruined my next book. Because they're unrelated fundamentally.
Yeah. Well, also, like, I know B-Dave had talked to us about, you know, being nervous playing Mahen in the last one. I can't imagine how nervous he would have been if that had been like, no, this is canon. Like, whatever you say as Mahen is canon. Like,
I feel like I can't even imagine that circumstance coming up. Partly because like the books are done, like I'm not writing more of them, but if I was, I don't know that we'd be using them this way, so I don't know. I also thought it was funny because I was like, B-Dave, Mahen is a like really competent, slightly gruff father who cares about his daughters, but also wants them to reach the heights of badassery, but is also a little bit protective. You're basically already Mahen.
Oh my God, yeah.
And also Mahen is really, really tall. There's some things that are not the same. The scales, for example. But I was like, you should not worry about that. You could just be B-Dave and it would be reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're saying that that these games are kind of just are fun and you can just let stuff happen. And the games have felt like, to me, a Saturday morning cartoon, which may be a dated reference for some people. I apologize. But no, it has that kind of feel where like, you don't necessarily have to worry about the repercussions of things. You can just have fun, because at the end of the day, these games are just about having fun with cool characters in fun situations. I say fun, but then, you know, the last one got real emotional.
I had so much fun in the last one. That was some good times. Like, like that kind of a D&D game where we get to like have big character moments and react to big character moments. So yeah, that was good. And
in that one, you played Farida. And do you worry at all that there's going to be like any kind of difficulty shifting back to playing Havilar for this one? No, you're all good.
No, I think honestly, like especially because this setup is so perfect for Havilar. Like there's been part of me that as we've done this, like at no point has Bailoff been like, Havilar, you should also fight in the Black Pits. And I'm like, would she be insulted or would she just be like, I don't want to work for you? Like, because she does really pride herself on her fighting skills and feeling like a badass for that. But at the same time, you know, she's adventured with Bailoff enough that maybe that's sort of like working for your friend feels weird.
That's fair.
But I think this will be a blast, especially since so many of her friends are going to be there.
Well, and yeah, that's a good time to talk about the fact that, yeah, Mark Meer is running this game this time around. B-Dave is playing in this. Yeah, so I'm first of all very interested to see Havilar and Freely interacting together. That's going to be great.
I have played Havilar with B-Dave playing Freely. Actually, that was the first time I ever met B-Dave. We played
really?
A Founders Day game. Yeah, and Havilar was immediately like very jealous of his cool arm that lets him hold a sword with his arm and then a sword with his hand.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of Freely and Havilar. Oh, and Freely can talk. Actually, no, we played before that because we played with Lauren Urban's podcast.
Oh.
One. It was me and B Dave and Mark before. Oh no, sorry, that was after. Okay, so it was Founders Day and then that one, and I think that was where. I'm not sure which one was where we realized that Freely can do beast speech. So Freely can talk to Zuni, which is Havilar's hellhound, who understands Havilar perfectly. But Havilar can't understand Zuni, except, just like, I know when she does that, she wants scritches, that kind of thing. So that was like a fun moment to kind of like, oh, you can help me with this problem, with this thing. And that was sort of the start of that. So it's nice to be able to play with B Dave again, play Havilar and Freely again. That will be a good time.
I remember that you two had said that you had played in a game before. I guess I didn't realize that he was playing Freely. I knew you were playing Havilar, but I guess I didn't realize he was playing Freely. So that's fantastic. They're reuniting for some badassery. But what do you think is going to be different about Mark running the game this time compared to B Dave?
I don't know. I'm excited. I haven't ever played with Mark running a game. But I know he's crazy talented, so I think it's going to be absolute. Yes. And knowing that he's doing it sort of as Bailoff, it's guaranteed going to be shenanigans. Like, I am eager to see what he throws at us, because I don't think Bailoff knows the word restraint.
That's fair. How have you found in the past playing alongside Mark playing Bailoff?
I love playing with Bailoff. Bailoff is he is such a and this is another thing. So I write adventures for Idle Champions, and one of the characters that I have been adding in more to the adventures is Bailoff, because Bailoff has such a strong voice, and Mark is so good at conveying it. Like, it's you can hear anytime, like, you read Bailoff's dialogue, you can hear Mark, because it's so iconic. And I'm just really impressed with that. And then also, he has always got some wild thing to do. He's good. He's like, I've got a magic carpet. I've got Marmaduke. I've got Najim.
Yeah. Yep.
And the fact and the way that, like, he kind of straddles that like moral line is like he'll kind of want to work with Vecna, or he'll want to like do switch over if it's likely to make his business work better.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He sticks with the team, right?
Yeah.
And the last one blew my mind. Like, Bailoff having, like, feelings and, like, talking to Farida about their feelings. I was like, this is amazing. Who knew he had these depths? And it just shifted the read on the whole character. I really liked it. So Mark's a really nice guy too.
Oh, yeah.
So even aside from that,
Mark is the best. I the few times I've gotten to interact with him, just absolutely wonderful individual. I cannot wait to do the interview with him. So the main premise of this, y'all are in the Black Pits. Bailoff has convinced y'all to compete in it. What do you hope Havilar gets to do in this Idle Champions Presents?
So one thing I'm really excited about, and I don't actually know how it's going to come out exactly, is that, so in the recap, in the last season, right? Frida met Tatiana, and she was like, "My sister would love you," basically. And so when we did the recap, I leaned into it, and that Havilar just thinks Tatiana is the coolest person she has literally
She's
ever
so
met,
cool, though,
she
but she
just
really
wants
is
to be
cool.
best friends.
Yeah.
So when we were talking about, like, skins for the characters, I had some, like, kind of regular ideas, and then I said, here's this other thing, like, she's, like, got a friend crush on Tatiana. Maybe she tries to dress like Tatiana. And they're like, do you mean like Tatiana's skin or like Tatiana, like, normal? And I'm like, well, it could be either, but the other one's really up to Becca. I don't want to, like, and actually the whole thing I would like to run by Becca, because if she's like, no, that's very weird and uncomfortable, I don't want to do it.
That's fair.
so they checked in with her, and she's like, I love this plan. So our skins are like a team kind of thing.
Yes.
So I really want to go and like look through Tatiana's like character sheet and just be like, okay, can we sync up on anything cool? So that we can work like a wrestling team kind of. That would be very fun.
I got to see the work in progress on those skins, and I don't know if by the time of yours you've seen this, you've seen the skins, but you're in for a treat with these. These are so cool.
You need both of them.
Yes.
And I'm just gonna tell you right now, if there's 2 skins you buy this year.
I love that. But yeah, so you talked a little bit ago though about writing for Isle Champions. You came on as one of the content writers. How has that been?
It's been good. I write all the equipment text and I write all the adventure text. So when you skip over people talking to each other in the game, you're skipping what I do.
How dare you?
I'm kidding. I know that's like, some people do like reading it. Some people, I know some people go through the game and then go back and read the journal just to like read that. But it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy trying to come up with like ways to make each adventure feel a little different. I really like figuring out ways to make that dialogue be more than just like, oh no, now we have to fight this. Because I don't know. Then when I don't care to read that sort of thing, but I love fitting in some like character interaction stuff, or like it also sort of makes it worth the talking about. Yeah. And you know, rewarding people with like little running jokes or like references to other shows is really fun. The Grand Tour where they encounter Zuggtmoy and they all get high off mushroom spores and get to see things from the sketching hour was just absolutely, I feel like if I never do anything else, I did that. Because those were really cool. And so people who watch sketching hour and really love it see that and go like, hey, look who it is. It's or, you know, we mentioned Alabaster Booty Clap. One of the first adventures I wrote.
Oh my God, yes.
Involved Baloth trying to impress Mr. Witch and Mr. Light. Well, really to distract them so that they could steal the watch by like kind of putting on an illusory combat show. And so his first move was to summon an illusion of Halaster Blackcloak, which Havilar immediately undercuts the drama by being like, I know that guy, that's Alabaster Booty Clap. So the illusion of Halaster Blackcloak is called Alabaster Booty Clap. And that's quite delightful. I would really love to figure out a way to make some monsters you fight that are like what does he call it? The Nyahaha.
Oh yeah, the Nyahaha from Griddle Champions.
I want to make some Griddle Champions Nyahaha monsters.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
I think that'd be really fun.
I just realized they need to add that to sketching hour for one of the possibilities. This is the Nyahaha versions. just get some weird nightmare colorful pig and put Nyahaha on it.
Love it. I think that's really fun. I think it's a nice little kind of nod to the audience. Like, you know, you're part of this community and you interact with all these, this is game and its auxiliary attributes in lots of different ways. Or let's not forget the secret boombox in Orcus's throne, because that one's
I thank you so much for that. That was just so good. Yeah, the fact that you've gotten so many good references in, not just from our show Champions of Lore, but from other shows that we have here on C&E, it has been an absolute blast to see that happen, and the community's reaction to it. Oh my God. Getting to see them go, do you want this, man? It's so good. Yeah. So obviously writing for any game, let alone Idle Champions, is different from writing, you know, novels and whatnot. What has been surprising about the differences between them?
Well, I mean, I've done this before. I wrote dialogue for a game called Terra.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It was a long time ago, like right after I left Wizards of the Coast, so like 10 years ago. But, you know, so I'd already kind of gone, okay, you have to you know, I mean, even when you're writing a novel, like you really want the dialogue because basically it's all dialogue, right?
Yeah.
You want the dialogue to convey as much as possible. But in the case of a video game, it's like even more important because you don't get the space, you don't get like descriptive space, right? If there's a background and I need to acknowledge one part of the background, somebody has to say, hey, look at that thing. Whereas like in a novel, that would be awkward because like it's easier to sort of just say like, you know, here's the thing because the character's looking at it.
Yeah.
So there's a little more of that where people talk about things that in a novel you probably wouldn't bother talking about because, you know, if you're standing around and you're all watching a thing happen, you're going to go, oh my God, look at that. But you're not going to be like, that dragon just swooped down and took off the top of the tower. Because I will describe the dragon swooped down and took the tower off. And it will be more effective than someone announcing what happened. But here you have to do it. So there is a case for like, there are things you do in video game dialogue that you don't do in a novel because it's your one resource. But you also get, you know, you get a lot of work out of the visuals, right? You get the cool backgrounds, you get the characters. And so I don't need anybody to say like, so Jarlaxle, what's it like having an eye patch? Because it has an eye patch. And you can see the eye patch.
Yeah.
But it's the same in a lot of ways. Like you want the dialogue to convey a lot. You want to keep the voice of the character really clear because if everybody sounds the same, it's, you know, you get the benefit of like their pictures right next to their name, but it's just not as engaging. And if you are going to read it, I want to give you something fun to read.
Yeah.
So that you understand what's going on, but also like you were entertained by it. So that's really important in both places. And I think too, just keeping, sort of keeping an eye on like how tight is a story arc, right? Like, so for example, in the Witchlight adventure, when you pick up Belushi, right, you get an arc of like, we're going to go into Bavlorna's cottage and we're going to fight Bavlorna. And alongside that, you get, here is Belushi. What can Belushi do? Hey, Belushi can be a warlock. And how does that go for her? And over the whole of the adventure, you have this story of like Nat finds a crocodile egg and decides that she's going to have an animal companion like Minsk. And so she's keeping this crocodile egg a secret. Well, so in the arc of this, right, that crocodile egg thing like needs like just one mention, like, hey guys, there's still a crocodile egg, but it's not the point here. But then at the same time, like Belushi becoming a warlock, we don't need to hit it anymore. So we have to hit all of it in this adventure. We have to talk about all of it in this adventure. It's not going to spill over. So sort of keeping an eye on the things that are going. We have these nice documents we figured out to do where like we break down like it's going to be this many adventures or you know this many releases and there's 2 adventures in each. And so what's going to happen where? And so we can keep an eye on like, okay, you know, this is where the big reveal is going to be, but then this is where the turn is, and that helps kind of keep everything organized for letting out those sort of, you know, there's the plot that's in the adventure, but then there's the sort of subplots that make it an Idle Champions experience. And so, yeah, I think all of that is very fun.
My sister-in-law, Allie, she's one of the people that does love to sit there and read through the dialogue as it's going through, and she will go back and read the journal if she misses it. Usually she's got the game playing while she's like doing housework and stuff. But like I've literally when we used to live together, I would literally walk into a room and I would see her there with the journal just sitting there reading it, and she was thrilled when she found out that you were coming on as the writer. But yeah, the thing about the dialogue having to sound like the characters, like when I started writing Pack Antics, you and I had a meeting that, don't get me wrong, I love talking to you anytime we get a chance to talk, but like I genuinely loved getting to sit down with you and talk about these characters and how they were and the things that you do to try and get their like not quite personality, like obviously their personality in there, but getting their whole theme into their dialogue, like, you know, giving me the note that like Celeste is kind of like the leaderly mother, like where she's doing stuff more through actions than telling people to do stuff. And
Celeste is the person at the table that says, guys, the plot is here.
Yes. Yes.
Stop doing that. The plot is here. Jarlaxle is the person who's like, the rule book says this, like the person who metas it. He's the one who acknowledges like, oh, we're on a fetch quest now. Cool.
Yep.
And nobody else gets to do that. And at least while I'm writing it, like that's Jarlaxle's venue, right?
And I did try to stick with those because, like, as you were talking about them, like, oh yeah, no, these are absolutely these characters 100%. And like there was a recent Pack Antics where Warduke shows up and Jarlaxle goes, oh great, they hit a boss fight in a fetch quest.
Perfect.
Yeah, and so yeah, it is really cool to have that level of detail in that you're able to you know, I would bet you if you hid the images, most people could still probably tell who is talking, especially with Brunor.
That is the goal. Oh, Brunor. I have to do a separate pass to check all of Brunor's dialogue and make sure I don't use any dialogue words that he doesn't use.
Mm-hmm.
Right, like Brunor doesn't say he doesn't ever say the last G on a progressive verb. Like we're not walking, we're walking.
So
you have to make sure none of them are there, right?
Yeah.
It's always the, not the.
And one of the things I've noticed with for the game writing and as well as when Luke does the Friday comics, the way that you handle that dialogue is very different from how you would in a novel, because most of the time when you have someone who does speak with a very different format, you're not writing it verbatim.
Yeah.
And so there's a difference there with the game writing and even the comic writing with it.
I think too, for Brunor in particular, like he speaks with the dialect. He speaks with the dialect that's well established in the Dritz novels, and so it makes sense for that character to continue that dialect.
Yeah.
And to have like laid out rules. I'm not sure our rules are the same as like R.A. Salvatore's rules, but they're close enough and based on the novels. So that way we can convey it. But
okay. Okay, I have a couple questions. That is essentially the you know, who's your favorite child? Which champion? And there's a lot of them. And so if you need more than one, it's fine. But who is your favorite champion to write? Oh wait, I'm gonna put a modifier excluding your characters. So
I really like writing Blue Sheep. Blue Sheep is a lot of fun. And that's one where I got to be involved from the very start. I knew some basic things about the character. It was going to be a bullywug. It was going to be evil, and that was about it. And I had to start writing the adventure before development had the sort of character attributes locked down. And they came back with the build, and she's like a magic tank, and she you know, when she dies, she gets stronger. And their concept, they had also named her. So Pete Lee is the one who named Lucy, and I love it. And his concept was that she would be a very old woman. And I was like, okay, but here's the thing. I've been writing her as a teenager, and I think it's hilarious if she's like 14.
Yeah.
And so there's this like sense of like you gain wisdom as you go through this, right? But it's like, okay, but you're starting a little bit behind because you just don't know a lot about the world.
Yeah.
But she has a lot of confidence. She's pretty I would like to use her more. She's pretty fun. And then for the like classic ones, I do like writing Minsk. I
love writing Minsk for the comics so much.
I think it's interesting because he's like, you know, he and Havilar have some things in common where it's like people might think they're kind of stupid, but actually they're just sort of observing the world in a different way. And so they might make kind of funny assumptions or crazy things. And then you always have the opportunity to have Boo say squeak and then Minsk be like, he's right, this complicated thing. And that's really delightful. And I really liked for Witchlight, Minsk is the one that Nat goes to when she decides to keep the crocodile eggs. So he's like helping her sort of figure out how to be like, it starts out, she's like, she wants an animal companion. And he's like, this is a great idea. Like you should have someone like Boo in your life. And then, you know, she's like, I'm going to hatch a crocodile and I'm going to ride it around Waterdeep Harbor and it's going to be great. And and yeah, Minsk is like, okay, we're gonna work with this, but you need to be careful. So he's got like this vaguely like avuncular role with Nat, and I love it. So I think he's very fun.
The three urchins from Waterdeep Dragon Heist are three of my favorite characters that have come out of 5th edition. They're so much fun.
I do really love them. I love Nat is the main character for Witchlight, and we have one upcoming which is going to feature Squidly really heavily.
Yay!
I really love Squidly in Witchlight. He has a little bit where he shows up because he's so like he so has this like hero worship for Jarlaxle initially, and so in Witchlight he meets Yorvin, who's one of the evergreen characters. And he's like, okay, he's so cool. So he's like made himself bunny ears and stuff. Jarlaxle's actually really jealous, but not like willing to admit it, which I really enjoyed writing that too.
That's
that was
fantastic.
fun because it got to be nonsense and then it got to be weird poignant all of a sudden. It was like funny, boom in the field.
I love that.
That's my brand, basically.
It's a good brand. It's a great band. It's working out. So then, those are your favorite characters to write. What was your favorite adventure to write?
Yeah, that's gonna be the Madness of Zugtmoy.
Yeah.
That I would have. I think previously it would have been. I can't remember the name of the one, but the one with Yorvin and Jarlaxle and Squidly. I really liked writing that. And I really liked writing the one with Lucy, but fundamentally the Madness of Zugtmoy let me do some things that really played with the form a lot. One thing that I hope people will notice is that the quest text, so the little thing that pops up that says you're gonna fight 25 this, that narrator starts to go crazy too, starts to sort of lose their grip on reality.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so if you read that, you'll be rewarded. It's amusing, I think.
I gotta go replay that one now. I was just paying attention to what was going on the screen.
It's the whole time the champions start to kind of lose their grip on reality, but they have previously picked up. So Havilar has an imp named Mott, and then there's a closet named Cratch they pick up that sort of are there to tell a lot of lore about demons. And they end up kind of bonding over the fact that they're the lowest on the totem pole, even though they're diametrically opposed in this blood war that they didn't actually sign up for.
It's true.
This also turns into a story about labor unionization for familiars eventually, but
that's fantastic
because they're the ones that basically shepherd the champions through this bad trip. They're
literally the front line. They're literally the front line.
They figure out what's going on, and they're like, this is not part of our agreement. This is too much. We need a new contract. So they're like, the whole time they're like, what is wrong with you? You're screaming and you're attacking mushrooms and you're talking to someone who's not here. But what we see is what the champions see, which is this like beautiful verdant fungal forest and this strange woman telling us to keep going and those weird gelatinous squirrels attacking us. And it was a lot of fun.
The gelatinous squirrels.
You know, the gelatinous cube squirrels. There's a Nebula Pigzord.
Oh god.
It was a lot of fun because it wasn't a lot of the times you're writing off of an adventure, so there are beats you have to hit. And for this one, it was just, we want to encounter each demon lord. So what is the most interesting way to encounter each demon lord? And in this one in particular, it was like, we have so much opportunity here to really go nuts and do something really vivid and cool and strange, and still hit the beats of the story we need to beat. So I still think that's the best one.
Love it. The last question I got for you, and I'm putting a big asterisk on this community. This is not a promise of anything that's happening or whatnot, but I want to ask, what is an element of D&D you hope you get to play with an adventure?
Oh, interesting. I'm kind of excited with the new Spelljammer announcement that we might do Spelljammer adventures, because I think it's different, and I am excited with the possibility. Like, I would love to discuss with like tech and art and figure out, are there ways we can make being in wild space feel like being in wild space? Are there wild things we can do with ships and stuff like that to help tell this story and make it feel really different? and yeah, I think that's got a cool opportunity in there.
Oh yeah, I think the entire D&D community lost it when Spelljammer was confirmed, as B Dave got to say. Yeah, there. I mean, but besides just how wild and cool that setting is, like the possibility for like, you know, games at the table, games in Isle Champions, if that happens and everything like that, it is expanding it even more. Like it's almost like that how Marvel got into multiverse stuff. Yeah. Like now D&D's expanding even more as well. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I will say I will say coyly, I started working on something I guess yesterday, that is going to I'm going to get to write a famous D&D personage. Ooh. And also include a fan favorite character from the Brimstone Angels saga as one of the speakers, and I'm really delighted.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. No.
You can try and guess who.
Yep. Yeah, there's no spoilers here. There's no spoilers here, so you'll just have to wait and see. But I'm very excited to find out what that's going to be. I'm gonna
just keep pushing my stuff in here
until you eventually get a campaign that's just Brimstone Angels on the side. That'd actually be amazing, retelling Brimstone Angels, and you have to bring along all these other champions along with them.
That would be, oh my god, that'd be bananas. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I don't think they're gonna do that, right? Yeah. Just to be clear. Yeah. But I would find writing an alternate version of Brimstone Angels where like you've got Celeste being like, should you be doing that? Shouldn't be doing that. Jarlaxle being like, who exactly does this guy think he is? Like, it would be very funny.
Oh man, you could have so much fun with Jarlaxle breaking the fourth wall on it being based on a novel too. Oh god.
You know what would be really funny too? It's like Havilar canonically in the game and in the books loves chapbooks, right?
Yeah.
So little trashy novels, right? And so if this were like Havilar's chapbook version, like it's Havilar's fan fiction.
Yes.
It's Havilar's fan fiction, and she's written all of her friends into it.
Oh man, that would be fantastic. That would be we gotta talk to some people. We gotta see if this is a possibility. But yeah, Erin, thank you so much for sitting down and talk with me today about Idle Champions and Idle Champions Presents Black Pits and all that fun stuff. Where can people find you and what are some things you're working on?
You can find me on Twitter at Erin M Evans. You can join me with Treavor and B Dave Walters. Why is that coming
Wallace?
I was trying to say Bettis and Walters at the same time, I think. B Dave Walters. Put some respect on his name. Yeah. On Champions of Lore on this channel at 11 a.m. Pacific on Wednesdays. You can also watch me on Dungeons Crawlers, an actual play show with a bunch of fantasy writers set in the Forgotten Realms, on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Dungeons Crawlers. You can also pre-order my new book, Empire of Exiles, out in November from Orbit. Tale, what do they call it? A stunning tale of revolution, magic, and mystery with snarky sorcerer librarians and stuff. I'm really excited about it. You can also find the Brimstone Angels saga on ebook or audiobook, and sometimes when you're lucky, you can find them like physical copies.
So I have not told you this. There's a used bookstore around me that every time I am near, I go to and stop and go in just to see if they have a copy of your book, just to see if I could get one. And I've been doing that for like months and they still haven't.
They're kind of hard to track down, but if you find one, you should probably snatch it up because if nothing else, you could really make someone's day with it.
Yeah. Well, once again, Erin, thank you so much for joining me. I cannot wait to see Isle Champions Presents The Black Pits. What?
Did I say the name of my new book?
You did. Empire of Exiles.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Thank God.
No, you got it.
For a second there, I was like, I think I missed the most important part. Okay.
Yes. So Empire of Exiles, check it out. But yes, thank you for sitting down and talking with me about Isle Champions Presents The Black Pits and all the fun things that you do. That has been this week's episode of Idle Insights. So join us next week for more fun guests and more fun talks. But until then, take care of yourself.